Keep stretching.
So yes, we'll start with our stretches. So this one we're familiar with, feet together, tricep stretch position. But this time we don't need to make it as flowing as we like. So it's up to you if you want to go straight into your circles or whether you want to spend a little bit of time really exploring how much you can go into this side bend before you go into your circle. So we're going to spend a little bit of time getting as much stretch from it as we can. So I'm taking a little wriggle forward and back, bracing my abs, always lifting up and over the hip bone so I'm not just collapsing. I'm going for my circle. Yeah. Just lifting as high as I can, squeezing the glutes for stability. And circling around. We'll spend a little bit of time in the same direction and then we'll change direction. So yeah, just play with this range of movement now. So we get a stretch in every inch of the move. Always challenges my balance so much.
Line, hit the line.
Yeah. Ankles are swaying and there's no wind. That looks good. So after that circle, we'll swap the arms over. We'll change direction. See how it feels on this side. So I'm going to go for my maximum tricep stretch, pull my shoulders down my back, really brace through the bum and abs. Explore how far to the side I can go. Make sure I get a circle every inch of the move. Keep going, I'll double check whether anyone's trying to join us.
Sarah, did you get a house sorted out?
To some extent, not complete, but I'm getting there bit by bit.
Work in progress.
So yeah, there's just always seems so much to keep an eye on. I'm just checking. No, just checking no one's messaged me to say, "Help, I can't get in." Sometimes get those messages. Oh, that looks good. Let's do one more. And then we'll bring the arms down. Let's work with a bit more movement in the back. So this is where we're going to stay in our mountain, pulling the shoulders away or down the back, arms out. And we're going to work between a back bend and a forward fold. So make sure you always lift up and create lots of space for the lower back, seeing how much back bend your body will let you go with without pain. And then pull the tummy in. Keep the hands as far away from your body as you can as we roll. Pulling the tummy in super tight. Stay here for a while, just exploring. So remember, each time you come up, before you go into your back bend, always lift the back part of the ribs up. Squeeze the bum as tight as you can, tighter than you would normally, and it gives you so much more movement. That looks good. Let's go for two more. We'll stay with this one a little longer than normal. Once again, really powerful through the thighs. I always almost have that barber's pole effect to my kneecaps. So toes are spread and knees are trying to rotate outwards. I don't have that much movement in my back. I need to work on it really. Power through the glutes. And yes, that little bit of time in a forward fold. One more in each direction. This just by itself is getting me really warm. I don't know about you.
Very warm. I think it's warmer this morning than it was yesterday, though.
Yeah, I think it is today. And then we're going to release in our forward fold and work between our Hindi squat and our adapted forward fold in gorilla position. So let's work the feet a little wider. Feet turn out naturally. We'll come up into a stretch with modified gorilla and then drop into your Hindi squat after you've had a few breaths in your stretch here. So what we're trying to work on is chest as close to thighs as we can. We work with flexibility to start with, and then we'll work with strength in a moment. My calves aren't ready for me to drop down with my hands under my feet yet. That looks great. A little bit of balance. Explore how upright you can get. For me, that's not very at the moment. Yeah, not very at all for me. Trying to keep my heels on the floor and come back up into my stretch here. So I'm trying to pull my tummy away from my thighs, but then snuggle my chest towards my thighs. So really, really working on the flexibility. I'm going from left to right as well. One leg and then the other. And they are not wanting to stretch while my fingertips are under my feet. They'll go straight, I think, if I take the fingertips away. So once again, just a little bit more time here, swapping between the two. I'm coming back into my Hindi squat. So we can get a little bit more upright. That looks great, Mary. Pushing the elbows away, chest up. So I'm trying to really push my heels to floor and find that bit just before I lose my balance. Yeah, there it is. Joining in. So everything just has to fire up more. We get so much more from it when we challenge the balance. And then back to our forward fold. So we've got 2 more times in each of these poses to just see if the body will give us a bit more. I'm going to wrist gorilla, fingertips underneath feet. See if I can bear it now. Don't forget a very, very strong pulling of the tummy. I had a rest day yesterday, so I thought I might be a bit more bendy today, but I'm not sure that's paid back or not.
Maybe as you move on. Well.
Yeah. Slowly loosening off. I'm aiming for about 6 breaths, 3 for each leg, alternating sides. You can spend longer if you want, especially if you feel your body needs longer. Slowly easing off. I'll come down into my Hindi squat. That's getting a little more easy. Never going to be my favourite move. So once again, I'm just going to push the knees out, lift the chest and the backs as straight as possible, and then try and just take the weight backwards a little or get a bit more upright. There it is. There's my balance challenge. So 6 breaths where I'm just tottering, teetering on the edge. Pushing against my feet so everything's active. So a little bit of push down with the feet. You feel it just assists the balance slightly. Yeah. So our next move is inchworms. So we'll come up to standing, and at each range of the move, we're going to try and get the knee as close to armpit as we can. So it's as if we're trying to prep. Now, there's no way I can do this move, prep a move that I think is called a lizard, because in fitness yoga, we don't tend to use the names of the moves. So it's to prep the strength, and you have no problem with this, but a lot of people do, is to prep the strength of when people are in down dog and they can't get their foot forward.
Oh, yeah.
So they've got the strength to be able to get the foot forward without any assistance. But it's also going to benefit us here with flexibility. So we'll go through it slowly once or twice, and then we'll work at whatever speed you want. You might stick with slow. Every time we stand up, we're going to come up into this strengthening position, and we're trying to get the knee as close to chest as we can.
Balance that's my biggest challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially at this time of day. I quite like your freestyling. The challenge is when we let go of the knee, I'm going to assist my balance with this handy lintel here. When we let go of the knee, to try and hold it as close to chest as we can. So I'm just pulling the knee in towards my face, in. So I've got 6 of these gentle pulls in, and I'm more interested in the strength here than the balance. So if you did want to hang on to something for your 6, go for it.
Just going to walk closer by, it would be helpful.
Yeah. And that's my benchmark. So I'm pulling the knee in, really bracing through the tummy muscles as hard as I can, and trying to keep the knee in that position. Just 6 repetitions. The brain and the body tends to fatigue after 6. Then, while you're standing, and it's fine if you want to pop your foot down, Mary, I'll just show you. When we come forward to our plank, which is our inchworm, we're trying to get our knee right up to our shoulder, so a lot higher than we would normally.
Yeah.
So the idea is eventually you can come into a crocodile and stand on your own arm. I got no chance. However, we've got to start somewhere, right? So we've done the standing bit. Let's give that a moment's break. Trying to balance on one leg as we come through forward fold. Lift the back knee up super high so we get a stretch. So now squeeze the bum, standing split. Walk forward past your down dog into plank. And we're in plank. This lifted knee is trying to come as high up our outside arm as we can. So we're trying to get above the elbow, as close to shoulder height as we can. And then we're going to just try and tap as high as we can 6 times. And then we're going to hold our plank, both feet down on the floor. We're going to stretch out and slowly lower through cobra. So we don't often go into it from this position, so go careful. Knees down if you want. Squeeze the bum, push the rib cage forward so there's lots of room in the lower back. Release the feet so toenails are to the floor. And this is to just stretch out the front of the hip because it was so strong. And then we'll try it all on the other leg, shoulders pull back. So we're going to tuck the toes, push back into a down dog. Walk the hands into a forward fold. Both feet are on the floor still. Take a moment in forward fold if you need any release for your back. And then slowly come up to standing. And we'll lift the other leg.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh,
Yes. So bracing core, hanging on for balance. And then 6 gentle controlled pulses. So if you've got the flexibility, Mary, but if anybody's doing this later in their own time, they might need to really bend the leg they're standing on to give this leg a lot more chance of pulling in. You can have the arms out for balance or hanging on. 6 gentle pulls in. We're trying to hold it as we breathe out, so pushing and hold. And then after your 6 breaths, we're going to try and come down on that single leg. So imagine you're trying to hold an apple to your butt cheek. Get your heel as close to your bottom as you can. Could be something more interesting than an apple. We're going to pause in our standing split for 6 breaths. Lift your knee as high as you can. Heel close to bum as you can. Trying to open out any tightness in the eyes or hips. And then we come forward to our plank. We're going to see how high we can get this knee. Holding my plank for a moment and then slowly learn through cobra. So a kind of way, if this is too strong for anyone at home, is to come down onto the knees, then come down onto the tummy, and then lift to wherever your back will allow. So you might stay in cobra or you might come all the way to up dog. So for me, if I just lift, I always feel a very small pinching in my lower back. So if you're feeling that, we need to squeeze the bum very, very hard. Maybe reduce the height of the chest or push the rib cage forward, pull the shoulders back. 6 breaths to open out the hips. Push back to your down dog. Should we try it again?
Yep.
Not sure my hips can take it.
Okay, we'll try again.
Keep both feet on the floor as we come through our forward fold. Once again, take a moment in forward fold. It can be a knee bent one or a straight leg one, pulling tummy in. And the forward fold will help give us the flexibility to get the knee to the armpit. So you might spend a full 6 breaths here, just trying to snuggle into your legs. Now we'll slowly come up to standing. Then take our challenge again. Remember, this is not about the balance, so hang on if you want. It's all about getting the strength here through the hip. So we're going to hug the knee in, 1 arm or 2. Take a bit of time to very much snuggle it in and brace the abs, and then you've got your 6 breaths. Try and keep the knee where it was. After my 6 breaths, standing split, heel as close to bum as I can, hands to the floor. So really squeeze the heel to the bottom so the hamstring starts to work as well. Six breaths here if you want. I'm just moving my top knee around a little bit because I'm so tight through the hips and quads. And then we'll come forward into our plank, 6 breaths. Trying to see if we can get our knee alongside our shoulder. That needs some work for me. Whoa. Then we hold our plank and we come to our up dog stretch. Definitely need this up dog stretch after that one.
Whoa.
Shoulders back, bum squeezing really tight. And then one more round. Pushing back, down dog, forward fold. We'll spend a little bit of time in forward fold again. Pulling tummy in, really snuggling into the legs. And after our 6 breaths, coming up to standing. Oh, slightly breathless today. Seems to always be shocked every week that I always get breathless every week.
I really feel that.
Just increasing that range of movement and strength together. That's great. 6 here. That's definitely a grimace from me, not a grin. So once again, hamstring strength. Heel as close to bottom as you can. Take your forward fold, really squeeze your heel in. Lift your knee as high as you can. Move the knee from left to right. 6 breaths seems to be the magic number today. And then forward to plank. Trying to get knees close to shoulder height as we can at the outside edge of the arm. Coming into plank and finishing the baby cobra or up dog. So once again, still very powerful through the thighs, through the bum, exploring how much back bend I can get. Once we've done this, we're going to come into child's pose.
A great stretch there.
Yeah. I like to combine my strength with my stretch. So much work with that knee coming forward. I watched someone the other day, and they actually could get their knee above their shoulder. In that plank position. I was very
well, that's something to work at.
Inspired, I think is the word.
The work in progress.
Yes. Well, we like to have something to work on. I'm really hoping that some of the other guys that couldn't make it today enjoy it when they're at home. Give me a little message to let me know how they've survived. So I'm going to stay in this wide kneed child's pose for a moment. Just see if we can wriggle, pressing one armpit to the floor and then the other. Just take a bit of release. I'm going to pause and open my windows. I'm boiling. So a little bit of time on hips and inner thighs. So I guess you probably know what's coming up to. If you want to get some cushions under the knees, there is no point being uncomfortable in frog pose and having too much pressure on the inside of the knees. I think because this isn't a proper yoga mat, it's a nice thick rug. It's gives me lots of support. So really pull the toes up towards the knees. Come onto your forearms. And first of all, we're just wriggling as far back as we can. But I've got a bit more movement than before, but I think because of that last sequence we just did.
I agree with you. I think it's loosened a little bit.
Okay, so once we're as far back as we can bear, we're going to cat curl. Push, but really think about the lower back cat curling. Push the tailbone down. And then try and arch the back slowly the other way. Go slow, make sure it doesn't put any nipping in the spine, any uncomfortableness in the spine. So my coccyx is pointing up to ceiling. More like cow. So cat to cow, at your own pace. Go really slow. Lots of pressure in the arms. We're prepping them for our next little sequence. Dropping down, lifting the tailbone up. Just two more breaths, or two more movements here from cat to cow at your own pace. Really lift to where you can. As you lift into cat curl this time, grip the floor as if you're trying to press the knees towards each other. Let's really fire up through the inner thighs. And then relax the inner thighs, brace the core, drop to cow. Yes, one more time. Gripping through cat. Dropping through cow. So we're going to try and explore a bit of an inner thigh stretch. So we're going to just straighten one leg out. Keep the chest close to floor. And we're pushing backwards with our hips. Lots of support in the arms.
We're pushing straight backwards, Sarah, towards the leg.
So yeah, so I've actually just adjusted, because when I go straight backwards, I'm going towards my bent leg heel. Yeah. And I get a good stretch there, but I've just taken my outstretched leg a little bit wider and further forward, so that I can push more centrally between the knees.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So if I can push more centrally between the knees, it just gives me more of a challenge. Basically, I'm trying to keep my hips as far away from this bent knee as I can.
Yeah.
So I'm keep adjusting my leg, coming on down low. Oh, yes.
Good in the thigh stretch.
Yeah. Good being not always my favourite choice of word. So I've got very slow movements, lots of support in my arms, because when the leg's fully extended like this, we don't want the ligaments to take all the strain. I'm exploring, can I get all the way back to sit on the floor? Probably next time. Wow.
It's a challenge.
Yes. I'm going down.
Oh, you're down.
But I've twisted to face my straight leg, which makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to stay down and I'm going to try and walk towards my bent knee. So I'm actually using my straight leg as a lever. I've got my elbow tucked in towards the inner of the leg, and I'm just turning towards my bent knee.
Whoa.
Yes.
Not very far.
So I'm sure there'll be some people who can get their chest on the floor.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the videos. Not too bad in this direction, but this way, start turning. So tight.
This way is horrendous.
Yes, it's definitely the word for it.
Should we call this a good challenge, Sarah?
Yes. It's definitely turning into a strong challenge. On my last one, I'm exploring every possible range of movement I can think of, so play around with it. So I've come into the nice bit, but I'm even turning away. I'm turning past the leg. I'm twisting my chest as if I'm trying to turn onto the side of my body. I'm just getting the stretch down that plane of movement as well. Being as close to floor as I can, using my leg as a lever. One of those things that if you do more regularly, will become more easy. Every time I do this, I think I should do this every morning. I really should. Okay, coming out of it however you can. Through a 90-90.
Yeah.
And should we maybe come into half lotus and just get the back of this hip, and then we'll do it maybe all on the other side. I think maybe while we're here. Oh, moving very slowly. So that was full internal hip rotation. Now we're going into external hip rotation. Cross the legs. Or come up all the way into half lotus.
What happened?
Not planning on using your legs today, are you?
Hopefully not. I'm definitely not going for a run, that's for sure.
No.
Oh, do you know I've got the pinkest sky out here?
Oh, have you? Well, that's why I opened my curtains, because it looked like it was going to be a really nice sunrise from upper level, but I can't quite see it. A little bit of pink. So we're just going forward and then side to side. So this is all the forward I've got at the minute. And as I turn, I always lift my shoulder blade up because it stretches between the hip and the shoulder blade. So then you can sit cross-legged if this is too much. It's nearly too much for me. So thorough for the hips. Just a couple more. That's good. Make that the last one. Now, while we're at it, we're going to keep the same leg on top and come up into this one here, where we're pulling the toes towards us, exploring how close we can get bum to heel.
Not very.
Pressing our top knee away, lengthening our spine, and now 6 breaths to see how close we can get collarbones to shin. So for me, it actually helps to lift my bum up off the floor, push my chest towards my shin, and then lower my bum back down.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm going to just take a bit of movement for my 6 breaths. So even just this once a week, because we normally do a little bit of time on our hips, is definitely improving quite considerably my hip mobility, which has always been my nemesis.
I think that move is a really good move. That routine is a really good routine.
Really good for hips.
Definitely at me up. Definitely.
Well, I'm hoping that the recording of this has gone okay and I can pop it up.
I have to remember this now.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you a copy of the recording anyway.
This is really good.
I'm finding it useful. Okay. One side cooked, other side
All down on the other side.
all on the other side. Whew. I do feel looser though, just feels quite nice here. So we started off in wide knee child's pose, 6 breaths. So this is the one where I like to wriggle. Well, I wriggle in all of them, not just armpits to floor, but hips are pushing towards one heel and then the other. Driving my tailbone backwards and upwards. A little bit of hyperextension of the spine, so thinking more cow. So press my armpits towards the floor. So even as I change the arch to my back and press the ribs towards the floor, even that challenges my flexibility so much more. So it's time.
Frogs.
Frog, frog, frog. So check the knees are comfy, pull the toes up towards you. Ideally heels wider than knees. Let's creep back. Come up through a cat cow. So 6 breaths, gripping the floor with our knees as we cat cow. Do you know what? I feel I need to spend a bit longer in this gripped position rather than one breath. I'm going to spend a good 3 or 4 breaths here. We shall go for 6 repetitions rather than 6 breaths. You can work at your own pace with this. So the gripping of the floor warms the muscles up that we're about to stretch as we go backwards. So they're more responsive now as we push tailbone up and back and come into cow. Always making sure it's not going really deep into the joint. Grip. Oh, I'm enjoying that cool morning air coming in through the windows. It feels wonderful. Yeah, really use your breath to get the tension out of the body. And that in-breath into the belly that creates a bit of relaxation to the body. Because the more we can relax, the more we get. A lot of mind over matter in these deep, deep stretches. Just playing around with a bit of a wriggle, a bit of a shimmy. But it really loosens up any tightness in the fascia, which releases the tightness in the nervous system. It all kinds of contributes to the flexibility that we can gain from these moves. So whatever you feel works for you. So after your 6 repetitions, we're going on to inner thigh. Lots and lots of strength in the arms when you're ready. Well done. So coming up onto my hands, trying to keep my foot where it is on the bent leg side.
Yeah.
Lifting the bum up nice and high. Lots of weight in the arms because the ligaments have been had a lot of force put on them as we're trying to stretch through the muscles. So just remember to keep yourself supported through the arms. So on number 1, I'm letting my bum naturally go back towards my heel. And I'm just giving my kneecap a rotation, that barber's pole rotation. Didn't do that on the other side, but it's worth adding on. Just any kind of wriggling movement. Coming forward. I wonder if I come all the way forward, if that, yeah. So I know I've advanced it on this side, but I'm coming all the way forward as if I'm thinking about cobra.
Whoa.
Yeah, listen to your backbone, make sure there's not any discomfort on the spine. And now as I go back, I'm trying to keep a bit further away from my heel, so I'm going to adjust the position of this front foot. Lots of support in the hands. I did this every day. I wonder what progress I'd get. I bet we'd get loads of progress. It's like the body suddenly just responds. We've got to check the hip doesn't mind this move. It is vulnerable as we come forward of being overstretched in the groin. So if you give the muscles in the bum a squeeze, and only go to where you feel comfortable with. So take your time, a good 6 repetitions. I'm going to adjust my foot further forward again. Try and lean a bit wider away from my bent leg. Lots of weight in my hands. Very important to keep the weight in the hands. Whoa. Are you okay? I've got one more. I'm going to go backwards and stay backwards on the next one. So I'm going to turn towards my straight leg because that's an easier position for me to lower down in.
Likewise.
Oh, it's tight on this side.
Good.
You can always bring the knee forward if it's too much, or get into this position however suits you. A little bit of movement. Whoa. So coming forward, staying as low as I can. This is my super tight side. This is not going to be fun. Bracing my core, trying to breathe out any tension that comes in. Elbow on the inside of the leg to use the leg as a lever. Trying to walk chest towards bent knee. Need to say that verbally because visually there's not a lot going on. If you can see, I haven't got much movement.
Nothing. There's no movement there at all.
So we always, once again, just checking, are the ligaments feeling as if they're getting too much of a stretch in the joint? Do we need to squeeze the bum and feel as if we're pulling the hip or the leg into the hip joint to just make sure we're stretching more muscle and less ligament? So that's made quite a good positive difference in this bent knee for me because I have a lot more movement in this hip. I'm squeezing my bum and trying to feel as if I'm pulling the thigh into the hip joint, just so it doesn't feel as if I'm getting a stretch in the actual joint. We want to stretch muscles. I have to keep stopping and resetting that squeeze. And all sorts of good clicks and cracks. I'm going to start exploring the opposite end of the scale, turning this way. Trying to keep chest as close to floor as I can. Squeezing the thigh into the hip joint. Just take your time. Just easing up a little bit. I won't say it's pleasant, bearable. I've got one more after this.
I'm not going to say this is good. We won't use the word good.
That's good. Oh, please.
Challenging this.
Yeah, so challenging. That's what we do it for. We like our challenges, don't
Yeah. Challenging. This is good. A good challenge. That's
we?
a good challenge.
Okay, so this bent leg is the one that's going to end up on top as we come into half lotus, or in front if we come into a sit leg position. So I'm coming through 90-90, and then bringing the heel into the groin. And then from this hip rotation, I'm going to just rotate it the other way. Squeezing the muscles in the tummy and the bum to support the leg. I'm going to take just a moment cross-legged for a minute.
Oh, well, just. Yeah.
And then heading on. Wow, that was a bit of a Santa kind of ho-ho there. Sitting as upright as you can, right on the sit bones, lots of space for the hips now, so pull up through the ribs. We can rotate high, and then as soon as you're ready to start coming low, 6 repetitions in your lower position. So once again, if it feels like it's going into joint, squeeze the muscles in the bum and tummy. And if it's still too much in the joint, unfold the legs so that it's bearable. Anyone super bendy, you're trying to work with your feet a bit further away from your bum. So just for those who need it, I will be going straight back out of the pose. You lift your bum, you move it back away from your feet a couple of inches, and then you tip forward. Oh, it's not as bad as it used to be. I still struggle to come on down. So for me, I know the tightness is in the back of the hips. So every time I turn, I'm pulling the shoulder blade up, and I can feel a stretch, wonderful stretch. Breathing into the side of the back as well in your stretched position. So I'm turning, shoulder blade up, and a deep in breath. I know some of you will be doing this with your elbows on the floor. That's what I aspire to. And then after our 6 breaths, same leg stays on top. Pointing knee to ceiling. I'm getting there very, very slowly. This dorsiflexion at the ankle to protect the knee tracking. And we'll spend a bit of time seeing what our maximum range of movement is, and then we'll pause there and add our 6th breath. So a little movement left to right. Trying to get bum as close to heel as I can. And press this top knee all the way out. So I've got my bum off the floor. I'm going to push my chest towards my shin. Try and land all the way down so the weight comes out the hands and a lot more into bottom. 6 breaths. Keep your chest as high as you can. So after our 6 breaths, let's come out of it. And just take a moment in child's pose. Normal child's pose if you want, rather than wide knees. I'm going to grab a little drink as well. How are you doing, Mary? You okay?
I'm good.
Oh, I've got up. My legs are working. Wasn't too sure whether they would after that.
Okay.
So core. We spent 50 minutes on our hips today.
That's really good.
So I was thinking with our core, we've been working on, we normally do Pilates core, but we've been working on dolphin, which I think is a really good core exercise, because obviously we're trying to get our bum directly over our elbows. So I thought we've got plenty of stretch, which should be okay for us to try and work in that dolphin position. So first things first, we're going to do our jumping 3-leg dog, just to get that feel of being upside down, and then a bit of tricep work, and then we'll finish off with dolphin. So push back to your down dog, bend the knee, and all we're going to do is 8 steady jumps. Squeeze the muscles in the bum, and you're just pushing the foot up. If you've got a wall, you can always try and touch the wall with your foot. And you might do more than 8 and stay with that practice for a while. But for now, I'm just doing 8 on one side, and now I'm ready to change sides. A lot more confident on this side. Once I've done my 8, if you need a moment in horse stance or cat curl, take it, especially if that was quite high in cardio.
Get my window door open.
Yes, thoroughly recommended.
Too hot.
So when we set up here, always trying to push the floor away so we have lots of space in the shoulder. And this is where we're going to try and straighten and bend the elbows. So we're pushing the bum backwards because this is a slightly easier position to do it in than being completely upside down. We've got 8 repetitions. And do remember, if it's a little tough to straighten both arms at the same time, straighten one arm and then the other arm. And then we try and lower both arms together and make sure you lead with a different arm. Really bracing my core. I need to land a little more gracefully. I'm just collapsing down, whereas the landing creates just as much strength as the takeoff. And once we've done our 8, we're going to prop up on elbows, clasp hands, push floor away, and explore getting as upside down as you dare. So I'm going in and out of it. I find this very strong. I'm even coming all the way onto my knees and then lifting up and walking my bum forward 8 times. I'm trying to push against the forearms as hard as I can, as if I'm going to take all my weight in my arms, which is the challenge long term. But I am coming for a little rest between each one, because for me, I'm not a position I'm used to being in. So it's like a full body strength move, like a 1 rep max in the gym, maximum strength and weight. Walking my feet as close to face as I can. Oh, how are you doing, Mary? You okay? I always feel like I need a wall behind me to stop me falling over.
Whoa.
And it's that really pushing as firmly as you can through the forearms as you do it.
That's definitely tough.
Yeah. So you don't have to do your full 8, but once you've done your 8, we are done. So I think thread needle, child's pose with a twist, whatever you want to name this move, should feel great. 6 breaths on one side, 6 on the other. Making my knees wider to get a better stretch. That last move pushed me to the max. So just enjoy your release.
Yeah.
Stop the recording.